Hey there everyone, Paradise Gamer 13 here, and if you're anything like me, then you're probably extremely excited about the 3DS remake of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask that just came out. It's always hard for me to narrow down what my favorite Zelda game is, but Majora's Mask is definitely towards the top. Honestly though, I think one of the biggest reasons why I like this game so much is because, well, it's actually really weird. The main premise itself is essentially to stop a giant moon with an extremely creepy face from crashing down and crushing all of the bizarre citizens of Termina. Although Majora's Mask may very well be the pinnacle of weirdness in the franchise, pretty much all games in the series have had some characters, enemies, and other things that are just so strange that they make the game that much more endearing. So to celebrate the release of Majora's Mask 3D, I have decided to put together a list of 10 of the weirdest things in Zelda games. As with all my lists, this is entirely my own opinion, and given the large amount of things in The Legend of Zelda that can be considered weird, I'm pretty sure I've left plenty of things off this list. As such, feel free to say what you would have added or changed from this list, or leave your own list down in the comments section below, as I always enjoy hearing your guys' opinions. Nevertheless, here is my list of the top 10 weirdest things in The Legend of Zelda, and I hope you guys enjoy. One thing that is in virtually every game in the series so far, but is probably also really overlooked, is the grass. Normally grass would be pretty normal for a game featuring large, open fields. However, the grass in The Legend of Zelda contains many mysteries. Most noticeably, there are tons of items, weapons, and even money that are scattered throughout the grass. I suppose it could be argued that this is possibly just stuff that travelers happen to drop along the way, but the grass everywhere is like this. If that's not weird enough, then consider the fact that the grass in Majora's Mask will actually flat out start running away from you if you try to cut it down. Also in this game, if you wear the Keaton mask in certain locations, a bizarre yellow fox-like creature will pop out of the grass and ask you various questions about the game's characters and other aspects. The grass in The Legend of Zelda is certainly pretty weird, but even it'll seem pretty normal compared to some of the other things on this list. This is another fairly recurring issue that happens in many Zelda games. The problem usually is most noticeable in the land's graveyards. However, in Ocarina of Time, the entire Hyrule field is plagued with a seemingly infinite army of skeletons at night. Castle Town and Lon Lon Ranch shut their gates once the sun goes down, but Kakariko Village is left wide open with just a small handful of guards standing around. Then again though, perhaps they're used to a bunch of undead meandering about, since the similarly infested Kakariko graveyard is within an even closer proximity to the village. Considering the fact that these Stallchilds come out every single night, you would think that the Hylian guards would actually try and do something about this problem, but they don't seem to have any particular interest in putting an end to this problem whatsoever. Ironically, there's even a guard just within the gates who constantly complains about wanting some more action, when all he would have to do to satisfy this desire is just wander around the field for a little while after dusk. Although not particularly common, there have been instances in real life where someone being held captive begins to develop positive feelings regarding their captor, and has come to be known as Stockholm Syndrome. Wind Waker features such a situation where Maggie, one of the girls rescued from the Forsaken Fortress, has developed rather intense feelings for one of her captors named Mo. The rather disturbing twist is that Mo is actually a Moblin who, based on his response to her letter, seems to be attracted to her for quite a different reason. Like Majora's Mask, Wind Waker also has its share of rather quirky characters, and one such example is the bizarre creatures known as the Fishmen, which inhabit the islands across the Great Sea. Not only can they speak fluently, but they can somehow draw incredibly accurate portraits of the various islands while holding a paintbrush in their mouths. They also claim to be hurting from a stiff neck, which for some reason they decide is best solved by having Link shoot a bunch of arrows into their body. It can be a good source of income for Link, but nonetheless, even if it doesn't hurt the fishmen, it's still just a little odd. Not much is really explained about these beings, however it is clear that they somehow have ties to the King of Red Lions, but nothing is explained further than that. Regardless, these mysterious beings are some of the more memorable characters from the Wind Waker. One thing that the Legend of Zelda series is known for is often having some pretty unique and memorable side quests to take part in. One of the weirder, and probably by far the most disgusting, is what I refer to as the paper quest. This quest is given to you initially in Majora's Mask, but also appears in Oracle of Ages and Skyward Sword. It is generally given to you by an unknown character who is resembled by a flailing hand, and most often takes place in or around some sort of toilet. What makes things even weirder is that after you give the unfortunate individual the paper it desires, you're rewarded with things from a heart piece to an item literally called the stink bag. Here's one that probably a lot of people saw coming, and unironically, it's from Majora's Mask. In order to actually even get to the entrance of the mysterious temple, you have to make your way to the top of the tower using the recently acquired Elegy of Emptiness to materialize several creepy, lifeless statues. The tower itself is uniquely known for its intimidating enemies, dungeon-flipping puzzles, and the desolate, eerie music that plays in the background. The Stone Tower Temple is almost completely shrouded in mystery, with not much information given in the game itself, other than the fact that it is known as a cursed place and evidently has strong ties to Majora. Here's another obvious one. The Zelda series has had a huge number of really bizarre and peculiar characters, but perhaps none are quite so over the top as the infamous 35-year-old fairy fantasizer Tingle. He is so popular, or unpopular, depending on how you look at it, that he has even appeared as the main character in 3 spin-off games, and has also repeatedly shown up in several of the main games as well. His personality has gone from being somewhat of an unaccomplished loser to having a more sadistic attitude, such as in Wind Waker, where it's implied that he may have even committed murder. Generally though, you want to stay as far away as possible from this guy. If you only remember a few things from Twilight Princess, then most likely this particular little cutscene is one of them. If you thought Majora's Mask had some pretty strange moments, then you may not even know how to react to this. I won't bother showing the entire scene here, however you can click this annotation here to watch the whole thing for yourself. Featuring everything from Link murdering Ilia, to a bunch of Ilias randomly giggling and falling from the sky, this is definitely one of the weirdest things to ever be included in a Zelda game. Chickens, for the most part, shouldn't be all that weird. However, the Cuckoos in the Legend of Zelda games are not only invincible, but are also able to summon forth massive waves of their brethren to strike down anyone who attacks them. Considering the fact that chickens actually greatly outnumber humans in real life, it's a good thing they don't really act like this. As I mentioned before, there are plenty of weird things in Zelda games, and as such, unfortunately I wasn't able to fit all of them into this list, so I decided to name a few honorable mentions that just barely missed the cut. Link himself could be considered a pretty weird guy in general. He practically never speaks outside of the occasional yelling and grunting, has worn a living, talking hat, and has even been known to keep a live cow in his house. Definitely one of his strangest and most commonly recurring characteristics, however, is his ability to store just about anything and everything in his pockets. Wait, does he even have pockets? Where does he keep everything? Throughout his travels, Link has somehow managed to store away giant hammers, a ball and chain that, might I add, he struggles immensely to hold only after he actually takes it out, and also a variety of swords, shields, and sometimes even clothing and armor that he can switch between at virtually any time. Out of all the weird things in Zelda games, Link's infinite pockets are by far the weirdest. Well, that is going to be it for this list. Like I said earlier, there are plenty of weird things in The Legend of Zelda, and they generally have been in part what has made these games so unique and memorable. Once again, feel free to put your own lists and opinions down in the comments. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have 3 days to save an entire land from an evil mask. Hey there everyone, Paradise Gamer 13 here again, and I hope you enjoyed today's top 10. If you liked it, or at least thought it was of mediocre quality, please click that like button. You can also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos and be notified when they come out. Every little bit of support definitely helps. In the meantime, if you're interested in checking out some more of my videos, feel free to click over here to watch another video I did on the top 10 items in Zelda games. Or if you want something different, you can click over here to watch the first episode in a Heart Piece collection series I did for Ocarina of Time. As always, thank you all again for watching, have a great day, and I hope you guys enjoyed.